It had been more than 10 years since the Supreme Court ruled against segregated schools in the landmark case Brown versus the Board of Education. But in Northeast Mississippi public schools, blacks and whites were still separate, and conditions were anything but equal.
We used books that were handed down to us, and the education was not very good. The teachers were teachers that did their best, but a lot of them wasn't qualified to teach at the level that they were teaching.
But many knew change was inevitable. In 1963, Jack Reed Sr. addressed the Mississippi Economic Council and made the case for desegregation in public schools. But not everyone agreed with Reed, who then was chairman of the MEC.
I remember very distinctly that the Mississippi legislature voted at that time and said, would you vote to close the schools in Mississippi, integrated or not? Well, the vast majority said they would close them. And I thought that was unconscionable, would have wrecked our economy.
Public schools didn't shut their doors, and by 1967, Belden schools integrated. James Bean was one of the first African Americans to attend school with whites there. He recalls how uneasy everyone was at first.
Something was kind of comical. We would kind of like go one side at recess, and then the white would kind of go another side. But after a period of time, we kind of like got more acquainted, and everybody kind of started to mixing and mingling.
Bean says integration allowed him to take a field trip that would have been unheard of in the days of segregation.
At the black school, we would never went to Six Flags. We had to go to Six Flags on our senior trip. And that was really exciting to me, to go to Six Flags over Georgia.
Tupelo Public Schools also integrated, and while there was tension, an African-American student helped bridge the cultural gap because of his talent on the gridiron.
First two kids that transferred to our high schools, one of them was a fellow named Frank Dowsing, who was a magnificent athlete. He was a straight A student, and you would be surprised. Maybe you wouldn't be nowadays, but you know how people love athletics. But that was a real break for us when Frank Dowsing was one of the first blacks to integrate our public schools.
Jane Riley was a counselor at Milam Junior High when the first African-American students were admitted there in 1970. She recalls a strong police presence that first year.
We had policemen come before 8 o'clock and be there until after school. As my dad used to say, took up. They came and ate lunch with us in the cafeteria, and then they came at 3 a little before 3. School was out at 3.
Overall, desegregation went smoothly in Northeast Mississippi because of strong support by prominent civic and business leaders such as Jack Reed Sr. and newspaper publisher George McLean. But in 1976, an incident involving the Tupelo Police Department and an African American brought the city to the brink of bloodshed and threatened to reverse years of progress in the area of race relations. In Tupelo, I'm Allie Martin, WCBI News.